I have the most outrageous clip for you from this judge, Bruce Schroeder. Schroeder. Everybody tells me a different. Every time I pronounce it one way, I get an email saying it's the other one. So I'll say Schroeder, kind of a middle ground on him. In the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, talking about when he had a black in his jury. It's, there are things about this guy that we could say are relevant to the case substantively that we are concerned with. And there's things about this guy that just make him seem kind of like a wacky guy. And what this is about is the fact that on the day that the jury started deliberating, and as of this moment, the jury continues to deliberate into day 3 about the 5 charges against Kyle Rittenhouse, the judge, you had a pool of 18 jurors. And they all watched all of the testimony and looked at all of the evidence. But only 12 actually participate in the deliberations. So on the first day of deliberations, they had to choose 6 of the 18 to serve as alternates, meaning they stay at the courthouse day after day without deliberating in case anything happens to the 12 jurors that are actually taking part in the deliberation. The way they selected the 6 to come out is they had a tumbler, almost like if you had like a lottery, and they tumbled the names, pieces of paper with the juror numbers on them. And they actually had Kyle Rittenhouse reach in and select the 6 people that would be removed from the 18. And a lot of people in the media thought that was weird. Why? It's almost like a game show. Why is Kyle Rittenhouse himself doing it? And the judge has a perfectly reasonable explanation, which is there have been times in the past where when it wasn't when we were doing it, when it was the clerk, for example, doing it, you would have an outcome that raised eyebrows. Like, for example, the one black potential juror being the one that is removed. And it's like, oh, my goodness, it looks like racial bias. So the judge explains that in order to prevent that, he says, well, we'll just let the defendant do it so that we can't be accused of handpicking juries based on race or any other features. But he bizarrely, in telling the story, says that when they did this once, what came up was the black. And it just is so odd to hear him talk this way. Take a look at this.
It was a big case. I think it was a murder case, but I'm not sure. And there was a black defendant, and there were 13 jurors, one of whom was black. And when the clerk, the government official, drew the name out of the tumbler, it was a black. The black.
It was a black, and it was the black.
Only black. There was nothing wrong with it. It was all okay. But what do they talk about? Optics nowadays? Is that the word for things? That was a bad optic, I thought.
Yeah. Also, bad optics is referring to it was a black. A black.
I think people feel better when they have control.
Yeah. This is completely reasonable. It's what the substance is completely reasonable. I'm not saying this guy is a racist or the racist, but the way in which he talks about a black and the black makes me cringe. It really does. And this is just, again, he's just there's 2 sides to this guy. He seems like a very quirky, strange guy singing songs during the trial, doing Jeopardy questions with people in the crowd, freaking out and yelling at the cameras about coverage on television, all these just very, very strange things. And then there are also the alleged biases that are being ascribed to the judge when it comes to evidence standards, depending on whether the evidence is presented by the prosecution or by the defense, his evaluation of different aspects of the trial and questions to witnesses, speculative questions, etc. Okay, that's a whole other thing. But what a wacky guy. I am very much looking forward to when this trial is done and we can move on from it. And we are standing by for the verdict literally as we speak. We may be minutes from the verdict. We may be hours, could be days still to go. We will see. One of our sponsors is Splendid Spoon. Now, if you're like me, I love planning my meals out for the week, but sometimes I just run out of time to plan them for every single day. And Splendid Spoon makes that whole process a lot easier. They deliver fresh, delicious, plant-based meals right to your door, ready to eat. No cooking, no cleaning dishes. Saves you a lot of time. You can choose from over 50 hot and cold meal options. There's smoothies, grain and noodle bowls, soups. I'm a big soup guy. Many of you know that. I also really liked the vegan meatballs with marinara noodles. Delicious. Both I and Splendid Spoon believe eating more plant-based is a great tool for feeling good, for helping the environment. The list goes on. I'm not vegan. You all know that, I think. But Splendid Spoon is really great to just help me maximize the proportion of plants in my diet. Splendid Spoon takes all of the work out of tasty, healthy, plant-based meals. And you'll save $35 when you go to splendidspoon.com/Pacman. The link is down below.